Hello and welcome to my video, MGTOW Arguments Explained, the Black-Pill Philosophy, Defeatism, Nihilism. In this video I'll be helping out the Forbidden Thinker and his video on the Black-Pill Philosophy. He made very good videos. This isn't really a response or a rebuttal. It's just sort of explaining my thoughts and positions on the matter as such. Okay, so I'm going to let the Forbidden Thinker give us his or the definition, because I mostly agree with it.
What is the black pill disease? Well, here I'm going to explain what the black pill disease is. And what it is, it's basically the idea that everything is pointless in life and everything cannot be fixed, and no matter what you do and say, there's absolutely no hope in society and everything, so why even bother trying to fix the problem? The illness, the disease, comes into play with certain ideologies that preaches that you cannot fix the court system, and we all know this with MGTOW, and there are probably other ideologies that have the same sentiments, not so much of the court system, of course, but that preaches this idea that you cannot fix the system, therefore it's better to opt out. That sort of ideology, that sort of way of thinking breeds the black pill illness or disease. And with this disease, it causes individuals to basically assume that nothing that they can say or do will ever fix the system, even though that's not true. And in fact, if the majority of them actually lift the finger and actually started making online petitions and they're doing something, the system would have been, I wouldn't argue it would be fixed, but there would be a lot more progress to it. So, in a sense, the black pill is a disease caused by the philosophical idea that it's better to walk away from problems instead of actually fixing it.
So, thank you, the Forbidden Thinker. So, let's put this into a question. Should MGTOW or people as individuals actively fight against, for example, the court bias? Now, this is an extremely fair question, because if there's a problem, why don't you fix it? Now, some MGTOWs, specifically Turd Flinging Monkey, would answer the question, no, it's not worth fighting. Now, I'll give you my take, and then I'll try to explain the MGTOW position. So, I like the idea of fighting the good fight. I'm currently doing research into sort of the MRA and various other things in the pursuit of fighting gynocentrism. Okay, and by gynocentrism I mean that men and women will naturally favour, the default position will naturally favour women, which can lead to basically unjust laws against men. Because we know men can get shit done, women, they need helping hand, according to the state and according to how people vote and act. One of the goals of my channel is the long-term goal of defeating gynocentrism. Now, this is not my idea or my sentiment. Thinking-Ape, aka Stardust, and FeminismLOL, Davison, or Davis, both said to change society, we need to start with the individual. So let's start with a simple recent example in history. So let's take the United States and racism. To make things simple, we're just going to say one day people decided racism's bad, it's unjustifiable, and it's dumb, to be honest. It took years of generational change and fighting to end racism as such. Now, some things you can't extinguish 100%. That's fine. So let's take the MGTOW claim that they are anti-gynocentric, or at the very least they're not pro-gynocentric. I would hope that they've watched enough videos to gain an understanding of basic biology, and they would reject any unjust or pro-women laws or action for no other fact or reason that they're female. So let me quickly reiterate the question. So, should individuals in society actively fight the court system, court bias, and gynocentrism? MGTOWs, such as Turd Flinging Monkey, reach the conclusion, no. So let's take an example from history, such as the Bachelor tax. Throughout history, it's been a disaster. It just hasn't worked because of the fundamental flaw where they don't take the individual into consideration. They only think of society. Society needs more money. Single men should pay. And the individual's just going to go along with this? Are you serious? The other point is women are 50% of the population and they can vote. And as we love women and we like to have sex with them, let's say there was an issue which was 50-50 split. All the women wanted this, all the men wanted that. As we love women, probably going to edge towards the women. For example, in the UK, the retiring age of women is lower than the retirement age for men, even though we all know women live longer than men. Now in the UK in 2020, the government reckons it will make the retirement age the same. Now I joked about this with my friends about how could you get that changed? Or what I mean is, would women vote for that? Yes, we want to retire later so we can be the same as the men. Reminds me in America when they were saying, oh, should women get drafted? And there was a woman's body that actively opposed this. Part of the rationale is rooted in biology. And it's not really possible to necessarily overcome all our biological traits or desires. We can be aware of them and we can try to fight against them. But some aspects we literally can't necessarily fight against, and sort of try to fight against biology does seem a little bit redundant. Okay, so let's backtrack back to history. Let's go for recent history as such. Some MGTOWs have argued that the MRA has been ineffective at changing laws within society, and that the laws are forever getting more gynocentric and anti-male. To illustrate how quickly things can become gynocentric, let's take President Trump. As far as I know, his daughter said wanted paternity pay, and then now he's for it. All it takes is a woman to say this and he does it as such, or proposes it, or thinks about it. Paternity pay is an unjust burden on any employer. How or why should it be the employer's responsibility to pay for a worker who isn't contributing to the business? Now, these are basically brief summarizations of some of the points. MGTOWs such as Turd Flinging Monkeys have made extensive videos explaining all of these points in great detail. As I said, I've got a slightly different approach. Okay, so enough of me speaking, let's go back to the Forbidden Thinker.
And the best thing to do is just not only be yourself, but also to, in a sense, in a true sense, strive to help others and yourself. And never give up on life, on anything. And regardless if the situation looks bleak, you gotta keep fighting for what you think is the right choice. The moment you give up is the only way that black pill sort of illness can resurface. And the other reason of why a black pill disease is dangerous is not only for the mental and psychological aspects that could harm you especially, it can also harm society. Like, hypothetically, let's say 40% of the populace suddenly became black pillars. At that point, people eventually stopped paying taxes because they would see paying taxes or even participating in the society norm as a waste of time because, well, society has many problems. Therefore, why should we even bother trying to fix any of the problems, and so on and so forth. That would literally cause the collapse of our civilization. Either that, or the government may crack down on that and make people pay taxes even more. But you get my point? It's also extremely destructive towards communities and certainly countries and households and certainly your neighborhoods. If enough people just give up on just believing and also trying to work with the system, it's extremely destructive in that capacity. That's actually one of the many criticisms I have of the MGTOW community is that infection of the black pill mental state. And it's very noticeable with some MGTOWs in particular that truly do believe that nobody can ever fix anything. Like, I've heard a couple MGTOWs think that nothing that they can do can ever solve the Gynocentrism problem, and that to me is very, very reminiscent of the black pill illness. The only cure to the black pill illness is the white pill, the rejection of giving up. You have to let go on telling yourself that nothing can ever change for the better, and you actually have to try and give the effort to actually try and fix whatever problem is affecting you personally. And if enough people do that, you can overcome any problem, no matter how big or small. And for one thing, it's changed my life for the better because, as I mentioned before with my personal life, when I was in a bad state and how that's contagious, it took me a lot of work to actually fix myself, but hint, it actually took a lot of work on my part. Something that I had to initiate, something that I had to start. And that's the only way you can truly start fixing the things in your life. Just work with the things that you can do and try and fix the system, and you can even ask help if you want. That works too. And regardless if you're not successful at fixing something, eventually your actions will inspire others to basically inspire them to do the same, and eventually whatever problem is there will be fixed because it will inspire others to try and fix it.
Okay, so that was a little bit of a long clip, but I wanted to give all the context. I don't want to chop and change and just cut tiny little words and this and that. I'm not going to tackle these necessarily in order. So, if enough people, go MGTOW, it will affect society. Well, society shouldn't be in the wrong. Simple as that. You say that it could affect, black pill mentality could affect communities. So that's a possible problem. But what about the real problem we have now? Family court bias fucking up society. All the children who are not raised by their father or fathers. In England or the UK, we have cities where no one has a father. Think about that as an effect or a cost on society. We have over 1 million children raised by single mothers. I need to tell you how bad or cancerous single mothers are on the whole of society. Again, it's society that has turned its back on me. It's turned its back on us. I'm not rejecting it out of some emotional fuck society pro-anarchy reason. I'm rejecting it because it's unjust. It knows it's unjust, but just doesn't give a fuck about men. Let's take it back. Imagine when they were drafting when should men and women get pensions in the UK originally. Why would you make it so women get their pensions sooner? Just why would you do that? And if you take a more traditional view, it makes even less sense. What did women used to do? Okay, raise the children and stay at home. What was the man doing? Oh, he was going out and working multiple hours. What takes more strain on your body overall? However, you hit the nail on the head in your video, which is very impressive. You should focus on the things that you can control within your life. So MGTOW is saying gynocentrism is out of our control. Fuck it. Society's expectations mean nothing to us. Shame and shaming means nothing to us. What this does is give us complete freedom to define our own lives on our own terms and to pursue the idea of self-ownership and self-actualization. Where you're making the slight mistake is because we have this view of gynocentrism that it would lead to depression. This might be true if we was actively fighting it, but we've decided that it's not worth fighting. It's not worth our time as such. And our time and energy is better spent elsewhere. Part of the red pill rage is understanding that society does just view you as a utility. Like how are homeless men treated in society? Oh, he's homeless. Oh, he's probably a drug addict. Ah, fuck him. He can't possibly be there for any other reasons apart from he's a cunt. Now I'm being hyperbolic, but the point still stands. We don't treat homeless people very well. If we end homelessness in the UK and the USA with the amount of money these countries have, if we didn't go to Iraq and Afghanistan, I'm sure we could have easily solved it. Why do MGTOW content providers keep making MGTOW content if they've already made up their minds. It's very simple. We need to help and educate men with, we like to joke and call it red pill knowledge. Because if we don't help these men, who else will? Because you might consider it a contradiction, but even if it is a contradiction, it's funny. And the contradiction of go your own way, if I tell someone else go their own way, they would still be going their own way even if they followed my advice. Because I'm not telling them follow what I do, follow my path. I wouldn't be able to, and they wouldn't enjoy it either. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for listening, watching, and goodbye.